So guys, it's your girl L from the ATL. Welcome to Gma It Ain't Over. Just sitting here, wanted to talk to you about something that was on my mind. As you know, here at Gma It Ain't Over, we cover a lot of different topics. And so today, I want to talk about love, right? Have you ever heard the saying that if you keep getting in and out of bad relationships, that pretty much you need to look on the inside? It's kind of a reflection of who you are and what's on the inside of you. Well, I don't believe in that. Um, yeah, they say that pretty much it's your fault, that pretty much leaves us with it's your fault. Um, I had come to a point in my life where I was just stuck, just at a standstill as far as relationships were concerned, just afraid to try to get back out there and even seek out a relationship because I felt like it's my fault. All these bad relationships that I've been in as a teenager, young adult, and whatnot. Yeah, it failed because it was my fault. I was picking guys who were pretty much, I guess, kindred spirits or like me. And I don't know, I just like over the years, I listen to professionals, I collect information from a lot of different sources, and over the years, I've had to do a lot of self-examination and try to figure out who I am and how I became who I am. And yeah, just really searching for answers to a lot of questions. But this myth, for me, I consider it to be a myth. Some phrases become very catchy, catchphrases or whatnot, and people catch on and they tend to spread the message. And it sounds cool and professional and everything just to say, well, you need to examine yourself. But a lot of this information, or a lot of times when people just make blatant statements like that, for me, it's not complete, and it can leave people feeling just really messed up on the insides. And as I say, for me, for many years, I even had a conversation, I remember one time with one of my sons, and I said, I don't know, I don't know about relationships. I just don't trust my judgment in men anymore. I always picked the wrong guy. And he kind of shrugged it off, and he was like, I don't really know what to tell you. The only thing I can suggest is that maybe you just, everything that you've been doing, just do the opposite. Words of wisdom when you think about it. Yeah. So that provided a little bit of wisdom. But when you think about it, I mean, to say that you're choosing guys based on what's on the inside of you, like, who really wants a guy who's not going to be faithful in a relationship? Who really wants a guy who's going to verbally abuse them? Who wants a guy to cheat on them? You know what I'm saying? Just all these, to lie to them. Who really wants that? And when I look at myself, I think about, what's on the inside of me. As for myself, today in every relationship, it's never been a desire of mine to cheat. It's when I fall in love, and I fall pretty deeply, and I'm a pretty loyal person when it comes down to friendships and relationships in general. So I never wanted a man to cheat on me. I never wanted a man to try to take money from me. I never wanted a man to physically abuse me, or any of the evils that can result in you having to leave one relationship and go try to find another relationship. I grew up, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I did grow up in an abusive house. household, right? My father was physically, verbally abusive, and he also abused a marriage. He was an adulterer and had 4 children outside, well, within the marriage to my mom. And a lot of people would immediately say, well, you hate men, or you lack respect for men because of that. And that could be the furthest from the truth. I mean, I don't hate men because of what my father did. I grew up really honestly hating my father. Yeah, because of what he did. I've been taught as an adult that you don't hate people, you hate sin. And so the sins that he committed in our household, I hate that. I hate that. Um, yeah, I hate those things that he did. But I had to learn to forgive my father. And in writing a book, really trying to search out myself and examine myself and look inside myself and see who I am and what I'm made up of, I had to, at some point, forgive my father, because human behavior, one minister I listened to just kind of taught me to separate human behavior from the act. Well, people from human behavior or the act. So in other words, you can do some things that are bad. That doesn't necessarily say this is who you are. It doesn't particularly determine who you are, because I would end up, after my father died, and as a young adult, a teenager, as a matter of fact, as a teenager, the first serious relationships that I ended up in were abusive as well. And so you may look at, well, yeah, that some of that may be true, but just to make a statement like that and leave it like that, it gives a young girl the impression that we're just this magnet. We're just this magnet that we're like drawing this bad energy towards ourselves, because that's who we are, or that was the environment that we were raised in. And let me tell you that immediate environment plays an extremely important part on who you are and who you become. And so it is not so much that I was this person. I tolerated some things in the relationships, the abusive relationships that I was in, because I had seen it before. It was a part of my environment that was tolerated as a young girl growing up in the 60s. It just seemed to me as though men beating their wives was just a thing. It was accepted, and a lot of women tolerated it. They had children and they had families to protect and nowhere to go. Women were uneducated, and so they put up with a lot more than you will find women actually tolerating in our society today. But still, domestic violence definitely still exists in our world, not just the American society. But when I say the environment plays such an important part, 9 out of 10, when you're growing up, you start to have affections and feelings towards boys or girls at you're a teenager, you're young, you're immature. They say youth is wasted on the young, and it is, because we have the physical capacity, but not the mental capacity to decipher things out or make rational decisions, right, the way we should. And if you've come up in a household that, like the one I was raised in, my parents were dealing with their mess. My parents didn't instill as much value into me as they should have, and therefore I was a little ill equipped to go out in the world and pick a mate, select a mate. Based on any type of moralistic values, or just the things. I just remember thinking when I was a kid, I'm never gonna marry anybody, because my father was the first impression of a man and of a husband that I knew, and I didn't want any parts of that. And I certainly never wanted, the abuse that came with the marriage. And that's why I didn't want marriage. So for someone to tell me that it's my fault, or it's, all about what's on the inside of me, like I said, when I analyze things and I think rationally, I can kind of go along with the fact that because I grew up in a society and a household where violence and infidelity was tolerated, that I probably didn't, I don't know, I probably accepted a little bit too much from the people that were in my lives, that was in my life at the time. But, just to say it was my fault, or, like it's a reflection of what's on the inside of me, I don't really like that statement being left like that. I want for you grandmothers out there, you mothers out there, to instill a lot of value and a lot of worth into your daughters. And not just in the way our society now is just filled with the desire to, I don't know, it's instilled in us that we should be ambitious as women. An ambitious woman is not always going to make the best wife. And I'm not going to say that an ambitious woman can't make a good wife. It's really kind of sometimes, kindred spirits when you meet people who think alike, that they make the best, that should make for a good relationship. But of course, we know there are a lot of things that can interfere with the happiness of a relationship. But all I'm saying is, instill in your daughters the things that you really need to look for in a man. And really, basically, yes, a man does need to earn good money, but a man needs to be kind. Because I don't want a rich man punching me in my face. And I don't want a rich man cheating on me. And I don't want a rich man that is verbally abusing me, or, thinking of me as less than a human and the queen that I am. So self-esteem was something that I had to work on. And putting myself under a certain amount of subjection, just calming. Like, I'm at an age now where I'm not so restless. My body, while I still have sexual desires, and I still want to be touched and held as a woman, I can now take my time and be a little bit more selective, yeah, about who I allow in my presence. And I think, as I said, I just came here really to get rid of this myth that it's your fault, because too many people are out there not trusting themselves and not trusting their judgment. And the world is filled with a lot of vipers, I call them, a lot of people who have not been raised with good morals and good values. And the only thing that a woman is taught in today's society is to look good. And we're getting away from things, just simple morals and values, like a wife really taking care of her husband and having the utmost of respect for her husband. It's just not popular to be in love or to be submissive as a woman. And it's also not, I think what most people missed in the Bible is that a man is supposed to be submissive to his woman as well. And so yeah, there are a lot of reasons that a relationship may not work. There are a lot of outside forces that can get in to our marriage and our relationships and cause things to go wrong. But as individuals, if you are a person, we don't wear signs on our heads that says, I'm a loving person. I need a kind man. I need a loyal man because I'm willing to do the same. I'm a submissive woman, or whatever qualities you feel make you special. We don't walk around with a sign on our head to say that this is who we are. And we don't walk around with a magnet on our head drawing just the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? So we're not doing that. We're not, same thing for men. I use, I talk in the feminine a lot because I'm a woman, and my message seems to be addressed to women mostly because I'm a woman. But, but for men as well. If you feel like that you have such bad judgment that you can't even pick a woman, or you're afraid to pick a woman, just know that human behavior does set in, and a lot of times relationships are not going to last forever. And it's not because you're a bad person or because you're a good person. They say good guys finish last. But you're never gonna know. I listened to I don't know, this guy who considers himself a love expert or dating expert. And his message, he gave a lot of profound messages, but I personally just don't feel like you're going to know the answer to a lot of the questions that will prevent you from getting in a relationship until you're actually in the relationship. I remember one of the topics was if a guy doesn't like to say that he loves you, then you probably need to move on. That's the whole gist of that message. But he gave room for the person who's, like there are people who just really don't know how to express themselves. But to say that if a guy initially doesn't like to say I love you, it could be an indication that you need to move on, but you can never say 100% because that guy may be waiting And he may be waiting just to fill out some things, about you. Yeah. And to get into your environment. And, the longer you're around a person, the better you get to know them for some of their habits. But even with that, those habits that you come to know, and just say, like you're a person, you say, well, yeah, I don't want to commit until maybe like a year or so has gone by. Well, yeah, that person may be acting this way this year, but next year that could change. So there are no guarantees when it comes down to love. But there's no surefire way to pick a mate that I know of. Because if somebody's got that recipe, would you please share it with me? But one thing I decided this year, and the one thing that I looked back on over my life, is I was a young lady who was interested in the bad boy. Curious, came up in kind of a strict household. And my oldest sister, got pregnant in the 10th grade. And he said, the rest of y'all are not going to be able to date or see any boys until you get 21 years old. Yeah. So needless to say, what did I say? I was saying, so needless to say, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot to work with. Right? Yeah. So while they were saying ridiculous things like, you're not going to date, you're not allowed to see boys until you reach a certain age, that should have been time spent, just aiding the development process and equipping us, the daughters and the sons, with enough information to go out and choose a good mate. Yeah, so again, it's more your environment, in my opinion. Unless you're a masochist, you probably don't want somebody to treat you bad. The fact that that person has latched onto you is most likely due to the environment. People don't date out of their class too often. 9 out of 10, if you were born and raised in Fulton County, you're going to have a guy from Fulton County or one of the near surrounding counties where the what should I say, the culture is about the same. And yeah, I mean, so it's not like you have a lot of choices, because these people have been raised up in these environments, and certain things have been accepted in our society. Here in America, we lack so much discipline. We, the least disciplined society that I know of. Promiscuity, I mean, drugs, alcohol, these are things that are legal. Some things are legal, and some things are just accepted. And so, you're gonna, 9 out of 10, unless you go to the moon, there's a strong possibility that you're gonna end up, or you could end up with someone who doesn't know how to treat you. However, I'm switching all that around. It's either I'm gonna be by myself, or I am going to have a decent, sweet earnest, non-violent, loving husband, boyfriend, mate. That's just what's going to happen for me, and I hope it happens for you. It's been really, really fun talking to you about this, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. As always, G-Ma, it ain't over. Every day you wake up, I don't care what's been going on for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, however many years in your life, a new day brings about new opportunities and time to get it right. And so that is one of the things that I have vowed to do in my life. And I am no longer, I forgive myself for any shortcomings. And I want you guys to do the same. And it is not your fault. It is just not your fault. So like, subscribe, and share the video. I love you. As always, peace and blessings.